When we were young, 2024 all album plays, 57 records from front to back in track list order, and we here at the Emo Social Club are listening to each one of them also in track list order. And on this episode, we are talking about We the Kings' self-titled record, We the Kings. Lizzie, before we start to give our opinions on this record, can you tell us a little bit more about We the Kings, We the Kings, We the Kings?
This was their debut album that came out on October 2nd, 2007 on S-Curve Records. This was produced by Sam and Sluggo. The singles from this album were Check Yes Juliet, which of course we all know and love, Secret Valentine, and Skyway Avenue. In 2009, they did their headline tour for this with The Cab, and There for Tomorrow, and Versa and Merge. So a really packed lineup.
That's a good lineup.
That's a really packed lineup for the time. They charted number 3 on Billboard Heat Seekers and 151 on the Billboard 200. Certified Platinum in Australia. The Kangaroos love it down there. I love that for them.
I might. Let's go ahead and get into our takes. But before we do, if you are enjoying our reviews of all of these records, we have a whole playlist down there below the subscribe button. You can go check it out. There's a bunch more information down there about all the records that are being played. We reviewed a bunch of them. More are coming. Drop a like, drop a comment if you're feeling like you liked it or that you liked it and you want to tell us. We also have full, longer versions of these episodes on our membership and Patreon. We are uploading those now, but it's sort of just longer episodes of this and longer versions of our review, more behind the scenes stuff, more chatting about life and all the stuff. So if you like us, you should listen to that. And if you don't like us, you should also listen to that because we talk about you. These are my thoughts on We the Kings, We the Kings. So for the longest time, I only knew Check Yes Juliet, being that it was a major song, it was everywhere, and this was just it was such a staple of the emo and pop punk scene. Check Yes Juliet is, I mean, it's a good song. It's catchy. It's stood the test of time up until now. So the fact that it was so popular at the time kind of also speaks to that. In many ways, with a lot of other pop punk records from this era, that like 2007 to 2009 era, like there wasn't a lot drawing me to it because it was sort of like that was my like college period. So I was looking at that time as like these are for high school kids. These are for, you know, children who are into this type of music, who want to go to Warped Tour, shop at Hot Topic, all that. So it wasn't for me. I didn't judge it. I'm just like, yeah, it's probably not going to be something that I'm super into. And also I'm not the biggest pop punk fan. So I attribute it to being like a little bit more of a pop song, but definitely assumed there was going to be a lot more pop punk on the record. More of that like Blink-182 sound kind of coming out in a lot of ways. This was my first time listening to this record in full. And there wasn't any of that like really super pop punk stuff. And I actually was really impressed by this record. I really enjoyed this and was like kind of sitting down listening to it and was shocked at how much I was enjoying so much of it, because for so long I thought this is just not going to be for me. It's just not going to be something I enjoy. There's a lot to like on this record. There's a lot of pop elements that I really liked, things that pop punk bands were doing at that time that really work out when you just let it be a pop band. I think they do what Cartel was doing on Chroma, but they have more songs that don't all just sound the same. There's a lot better writing, a lot better melodies. Travis Clark's voice is really good on this. I think just a lot of it has like really good bits and pieces of it that all fit together really well. Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised I liked it.
I figured you might like it just because it is like more of like a fun album. I think the fact that We the Kings, like you said, they made it pop, but they put those elements in, which during that time, that was when we started to see more like pop rock come out on the radio. So it was like normal.
Yeah.
So if you heard it, you say, oh yeah, this is listenable. And also We the Kings, I think as a whole, their image is much more approachable in the scene compared to other bands, obviously, that we've talked about, because like it's just dudes from Florida looking like they're going to the beach and saying "Check Yes Juliet." You know, that's it.
It's very
it's approachable. Yeah,
so it's very approachable because it's for everybody. It's kind of a wide net they're casting with the music.
Right. And if you like were out shopping like with your parents or anybody and you said, "Oh, I heard this one song. Can I buy this album?" It's pretty clean too. Oh, yeah. So it was able to have, I feel, a longer reach because of that. And I think that's why like they were able to, continue on a little bit more, even with their one song. But they've been able to do that because it kind of transcends time, because you can play that for for people who are older now, have children. They can say like, oh, I want to play my kid like fun music that I listen to, but what's appropriate for a literal child?
Yeah.
That's appropriate for a literal child.
This is appropriate. I think there's a way this could have gone very Disney Channel rock, and it did not. I think that it still has a lot there that's good for the Warped Tour crowd, the high school crowd, like kids who don't want to be associated with that part of it. They want to be associated more with like the rock crowd and like being different and being a misfit. And this is still kind of in that, even though it's doing like pop songs with it.
What's wrong with the Disney Channel rock?
My top tracks from We the Kings. So the first 3 tracks are the singles.
Yeah.
They are bangers. I think Secret Valentine and Skyway Avenue and Check Yes Juliet is a strong top 3 on this record. So I didn't want to pick all 3 of those, even though I think those are like by far like some of the best songs on the record. I did, however, I had to put Secret Valentine on here.
Okay.
Like, I think that song is too good. It's a simple, dumb little pop song, but I dig the chorus. The melodies are really strong in this one. It just is a very like catchy vocal song to the point where like I have to come back to this. Like I have to listen to it again. I have to put it on these playlists. I have to put it on shuffle. So I kept coming back to this song. I have heard this song outside of the context of this record. I have come back to it outside of the context of this review. So I already kind of knew I was going to go into it and like it, but it's a good song. I like it. Don't Speak Liar. This reminded me a lot of Coheed and Cambria.
Interesting.
There's some guitar parts and some melodies on here that had me feeling like this was some of those elements of other pop punk and emo and Warped Tour band sounds brought into just pop structures and pop sounds. It was very clear where those influences are coming in and being utilized here in that same way. So yeah, as a Coheed fan, this one sounded really catchy to me. And I think this one stands out along with all the other songs on the record as being a little bit more of that, not so like childish pop song, but a little bit challenging comparatively to some of the things that could just be more in that like Disney Channel radio hit. My third top track is Stay Young. This was a super simple alternative pop song. There's a lot of whoa parts throughout this record. There's literally a song called Whoa, which is when I knew this album is for younger kids, because you're very clearly going to get a lot of kids that want to listen to a song called Whoa and just yell whoa. But there's a lot of those like catchy like audience participation parts in this. And I'm a sucker for it when it's good. I'm not a sucker for it when it's not utilized in the best way, but I am a sucker for it when they can do it really well in a good pop song. Good songs on this one. My least favorite track from We the Kings. There was nothing super standout as like, wow, what a bad song or anything like that. I felt like I could listen to this record on repeat. I could listen to this record on shuffle. I could listen to these songs out of the context of this record and still really enjoy them. In listening to it as one whole cohesive thing, the only songs that really stood out as like, that's kind of in the background or could be skipped were Whoa, too many whoa choruses.
Yeah.
And The Quiet was the only other one.
Okay.
That I really was like, like I would not mind if they were not here. I didn't feel as strongly about those as the other ones. I don't really have an issue with any songs on this record. It's not like any one is any worse or any more poorly written than anything else. They all are very well written songs. So yeah, those are just like ones I'm like, yeah, whatever. Maybe the Whoa is just a little too young for me.
Too young. You're not hip enough.
I'm stay young, but I'm not too young, you know?
These are my thoughts on We the Kings' self-titled album. I have seen We the Kings before. I saw them at the very last Warped Tour that they had in Illinois in Tinley Park. Me and my friends were waiting because we, amongst everyone else in the crowd, were like, yeah, check Yes Juliet, which is, of course, the last song. We also saw them recently open for Story of the Year. Mm-hmm. That was the first time in like recent times I've seen them live. Again, I only really knew Check Yes Juliet, but the rest of the songs they had, and they had put out a couple recent new singles, I'm like, oh, I'm like very impressed. Like this is still a very fun set. So kind of revisiting this, I'm like, I probably just completely missed this. So I liked the record. I did really enjoy it. Went into it really just like having no opinion, but knowing how Check Yes Juliet was, I'm like, oh, it's probably just going to be like a similar vibe, a similar sound. But I was kind of impressed with what it was. And I think it's similar to what you were saying, is that they ran with it being a pop album, which isn't bad. We've talked a lot. Like there's some artists in this scene that if they just said, screw it, I'm going to be a pop artist, pop rock artist, 10 times better, so much more visibility.
It is crazy, yeah.
I feel like I could write like a dissertation on it. I would be like, here you go, and just give it, be like, please do this, and your career would probably thrive a lot more.
I'm saying there's bands that like, I think there's bands that want to do what Blink-182 does. And the thing that they miss is like Blink-182 wrote good pop songs.
Yeah.
They weren't just writing like these fast drum beats over like shitty guitars with dumb lyrics. They were writing good pop songs. And I think people miss that, like, while they are not a pop band, you can take that influence from them to write good songs and then make a good record with good songs on it that just have some of that, but not exactly the same. I think musicians just get a little bit too in their heads about it, and they're like, I want it to sound like the punk parts of Blink-182. It's like, could it sound like the good songs part of Blink-182?
My top songs from We the King's self-titled album are going to be Stay Young. I thought it was like a little summer anthem. Yep. It's a little bop, and that's what I like. I mean, especially now we're in the summer, I want a little bop to listen to while I'm walking around.
Real bop hours.
They say it's Fair Girl Summer, but you also need the bop hours too to really balance it all out.
The whole summer is there, but you have certain bop hours.
My second song that I did really like on here was Headlines Read Out. I like this little synthy intro. Very cute. I love a little bit of synth. This is a little bit different in the structure because it's like building up in the chorus, and it's a little bit, it stands out compared to everything else. So I did really like that. And then All Again For You. I think this is a really good, like, nostalgic reminiscing track. It reminds me of a song that every single band in this genre has and has either done really, really well or they have absolutely biffed it. And it's like that one song you're like, damn, yeah, I'm gonna look back on this in like 10 years and listen to it and say like, damn, that was a great summer. They do that really well with this song. And there's a lot of songs that also do that, like Only One by Yellowcard. That is a fantastic reminiscing song. But that's exactly what you want sometimes from a song. And I think that All Again For You really does it. My least favorite tracks from We the King's self-titled album, I really didn't have any. Like you kind of mentioned like maybe Woe and The Quiet, but I was re-listening to it even today, just like triple check. Nothing like sucked. No. Nothing sucked terribly. It's a fun little little pop album to put on when you're road tripping with your friends or you're getting ready to go out with the girlies. It's just a fun album. It's not that serious or deep, and that's okay because that's the vibe, and we need bands that can be like that, head empty, vibes up energy.
There's a very good reason that We the Kings is still on tour. If they're still making the money they're making, good for them.
Yeah.
Well, those were our opinions on We the Kings' self-titled record, We the Kings. But we are not the only ones who have thoughts. We are not the only ones who We the Kings. So I went to Amazon.com, got some reviews. Lizzie found some reviews by critics. And we're going to give you what other people thought about this record as well. Maybe they agree, maybe they don't. This first review is by CM. The review is from December 2nd, 2007. 5-star review. Ooh. By the Kings. B-U-Y. Like purchase the Kings.
Okay.
Great disc. Buy it. I had given up on finding anything worthwhile lately, parentheses new music. This disc is really well done. They are a great group of guys and are on the road. Catch them when you get the chance. This is a real enjoyable compilation of well-crafted tunes, nice harmonies, guitar tones, good rock and roll, indie, emo, Americana pop, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. We the Kings have an original sound all their own. The CD rocks in the car. I blast it in the office. Just buy the damn thing. No screaming on this. Good, solid singing. Thank you, Kings.
See, that's again, playing in the office. It's office friendly.
Blast
and no one's
going
to be complaining.
This review is by S. Pasquale from September 2nd, 2008. It's a 5-star review titled Awesome and I Own More Than One Copy.
Shit.
There is in this review a photo of her and Travis from We the Kings hanging out. Although I am biased, being that Travis Clark, lead singer / guitarist, is my little cousin and all, it's a very good album. I love the fact that the music is upbeat and fun, clean lyrics, parentheses hard to come by and even harder in a complete album, and each song is catchy. It's an album that you can listen to from beginning to end, and in no time, without looking through the lyrics, you will find yourself singing correctly along. Bravo, cuz. Have fun in the UK and see you Christmas.
Oh my God. That's So funny.
Shout out to Travis Clark's little older cousin.
Love that for them.
For getting those reviews in on Amazon.
There you go. That's what family is. All right, now I have some critic reviews. First one comes from AllMusic. 3.5 out of 5 stars by Stuart Mason. There's absolutely nothing new or original on the debut album by Florida pop punks We the Kings, and that's entirely beside the point.
What?
Hello? The question posed by an album like We the Kings is not whether it brings something unexpected to the party, but how well it performs the functions expected of it, sounding good on a semi-popular high school girl's new iPod Nano over the in-store sound system at Aeropostale and in the background of ads for a teen-oriented series on the CW. I like all that shit. Leave me alone.
Yeah, that's your shit.
That's great. What do you mean? If the quartet, they're one of those bands who only go by their first names, which is fine because they really might as well all be called Chad or Kyle, had been around a decade or so ago, they would likely have been sucked into Lou Pearlman's boy band factory, but it being 2007, the sound of the moment is speedy, crisp, power pop with just a little distortion on the guitars and just a little emo hoarseness in the vocals, but with neither getting in the way of the chorus hooks. And for the 11 schematic 3-minute tracks, that is just exactly what We the Kings deliver. The songs are so superficially catchy that they all bleed into one another with little differentiation, but taken one at a time, tunes like Skyway Avenue and Check Yes Juliet are so pleasantly inoffensive that the album becomes oddly charming in spite of how blatantly aggressively market-oriented it all is. This will sound hopelessly dated by the time We the Kings' target audience graduates from high school.
Okay.
As lovable as the Backstreet Boys sound to the teens of 2007, but for the moment, it gets the job done. And what's wrong with that? I mean, I was in middle school in 2007, so like, yeah.
This was perfect for you at
This
the
was
time.
cool. Yeah, it was perfect.
This was written for you at the time.
This was written for Lil Lizzy.
Not to say that it's written for that, because I'm sure that like they weren't
think-
in the
I mean, of
studio
course, yeah.
writing songs for this audience. Not that people don't, but I just think that this is legitimately like what they wanted to write, and it just gravitated towards the audience it did. And I don't think there's anything like yes, Lou Pearlman was putting together boy bands, and like at least this felt more authentic of having like a band of musicians who can play instruments, and you care about each member of the band, and you can like identify with them, and guitarists and drummers are getting, you know, their credit too, not just the singer. But I don't know. I don't have any issue with that, and I don't feel like they were specifically going out of their way to write for children.
I think that they just said, we're Florida guys. We're always in the sun. We want to have party tunes.
Yeah. Our thoughts, their thoughts, your thoughts. Before we let anyone else get their thoughts in, we have to answer the one question. Should you see this album, We the Kings, at When We Were Young 2024? And I'm conflicted on this because I assume there are going to be other bands that I'm going to want to see. I assume this album might be played kind of later in the day. This is my assumptions, I don't know. But I kind of have a feeling this is one that like a lot of people might be interested in seeing, so they might put it a little bit later. And I might be going to other stuff. If there is any conflict, I'm definitely going to stay at this stage watching them for the first 3 songs, and as much else as I can see. I would like to see some of the songs that they don't normally play, though I know that if you're going to go see them live, you're going to probably hear the 3 first songs, and you're going to hear a lot of the other stuff, being that this is their most popular record, though they have a lot of newer stuff out. So kind of depends on what they do in the future. This is not reached its 20 year yet, so we just, I think, had 15 years of it recently.
Yeah.
They haven't done a 15 year
And we wouldn't
it.
be 20 years.
Yeah, so we're not 20 years yet. So I'm assuming they'll do a 20-year tour maybe in the future. So I'm going to try to watch as much as I can of it, because I do think that this record is fun. I do think that they are big on crowd participation. I do have a feeling like it's going to be a really good set of the day. So I'm going to try, but I have a feeling that I'm going to be conflicted with other bands that I want to see.
I would be conflicted as well if they are against another band that I also really, really like or maybe listen to for a long time. But I think if you really like We the Kings or you haven't seen them live ever, and you're ping-ponging between sets or you're doing whatever, I really strongly encourage you to do it, because it's just such a fun time watching them live. Like, you're not going to be bored. And also, there's some people who will bring their kids to the fest too.
Yep.
Bring your kids to this set. Like, they're going to have a really good time.
Yes.
And so if you fall into that demo, I would highly suggest that you catch their set. And I think if you just want like poppy summer vibes overall. I think you should catch this set irregardless.
That's where we will be at When We Were Young 2024. But where will you be? Hopefully you are in the subscribe button and you are in the like button and you are in the comments letting us know what you thought about our thoughts on this record. Let us know if you're going to check this band out at When We Were Young. Check out the extended version of this over on our YouTube memberships and Patreon. It's all down there in the description. Until When We Were Young, until We the Kings, until We the Kings, until We the Kings, we will see you there.